As Maui recovers from that devastating wildfire that killed more than 100 people, the left has been working overtime to use that tragedy to advance an agenda. First, it was climate change, of course, but now a New York Times op-ed shifting the blame to colonialism, saying that, quote, set the stage for the wildfires, as opposed to, poor emergency response protocols, unmaintained electric infrastructure, etc.
Our next guest just released an article on Public explaining why we shouldn't be blaming climate change on the wildfires, titled Pseudoscience, Greed, and Nihilism Behind Disinformation on Climate Change and Fires. Joining us now is the founder of Public on Substack and author of Apocalypse Never, Michael Shellenberger. We can combine the two, Michael, because when the science says climate change is not causing wildfires, these people pivot to colonialism.
That's right. Anything to avoid dealing with really what's causing the fires, which is basically just lack of fire preparedness, forest management, keeping the area around electrical lines clear, thinning the forest, prescribed burns, all the really boring stuff that's practical to do, that's not expensive, that doesn't require radical changes to the global economy or downgrading our standard of living. So you can see why people don't want to, why the elites with this agenda they have don't want to do it. I mean, I point out that the situation in Greece, which has gotten all the attention of the fires, is very similar to California. In both cases, the governments, and also in Hawaii, in both cases, the governments underinvested in forest management and fire preparedness. And as a result, people die. This is not just sort of an ideological issue. This is a really, the consequences of this, frankly, climate religion are death and destruction.
Yeah, and the thing is, Michael, we get this basically leftist Mad Libs, colonialism, climate change. Well, colonialism didn't force the electric company to be derelict in its responsibilities, which is what Maui County is alleging. It didn't force officials not to sound the sirens and the alarms. It didn't force an official to withhold water for a period of time. Colonialism didn't do that. Climate change didn't do that. Those were actual terrible decisions and actions by human beings. And when you blame these other sort of concepts, you sort of let the people who failed off the hook.
Well, that's right. I mean, you can see it's an abdication of responsibility by the politicians, some of whom have blood on their hands. I mean, if we're being honest about it, a lot of people died in Hawaii. Hundreds of people died. A lot of people have died in Greece. And, they said, there was like literally just recently, they were saying, oh, it's all climate change. They finally arrested dozens of arsonists in Greece. We know that they had not released the water. They had not prepared around the wires. They had not done, they did not sounded the sirens in Hawaii. So really, this is very irresponsible behavior on politicians, but it's also opportunistic because, as I point out in my article, they make money. They earn money by hyping the need for renewables as the solution to fires, which apparently people buy into, at least some amount of people buy into, and it becomes a kind of grift, a kind of campaign scam for them to raise money from renewable energy interests, kind of as they can kind of appeal to the sky gods, apparently, as part of this new religion.
And Michael, where you are, after more than 3 decades in business, San Francisco's Nordstrom officially shutting its doors for good. And why? The changing, quote, dynamics of the city. Well, it's crime. Meantime, the city is also struggling to keep up with the housing crisis, with new apartment construction in steep decline due to permitting issues. They originally set a housing goal of 82,000 units over the next 8 years, but they're now on pace to fall to 53,000 units, short of that target. But again, people on the left always blame homelessness, or excuse me, the unhoused crisis on the lack of affordable housing. And we both know that's not the case.
Well, no, and not only that, I mean, California spends, San Francisco spends at least 10 times more per homeless person than other cities, about $120,000 per homeless person. That's not even counting the cost of emergency care, psychiatric care, all the street cleaning. Nordstrom's is this classic great American store. It opened the year I moved here 30 years ago. And so to lose it shows just how bad the situation on the streets are. I mean, they're warning federal employees not to go into the office at this point into San Francisco. So yeah, in both cases, I think the interesting comparison with the fires and the situation in San Francisco is you see progressives blaming very external, very distal causes as opposed to dealing with the really practical matter of having a lot of addicts and untreated mentally ill people on the street who need care, who need medical care. They giving them a place, giving them a free apartment just enables their addiction and suffering. And so in both these cases, we need very practical solutions, and we're being handed, and really the demand is for very ideological ones. It's really more of a cult than it is a policy approach.
Yeah, these are man-made disasters. These are policy failures. And just watching the video of Nordstrom's closing, it's just tangible, in-your-face decay. Michael Shellenberger, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Good to be with you.